Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. Today we are on our United show, Keane on United. And today I have a full house. So today I'm joined by Jimmy Williams from Red Devil Talk. I'm joined by Tim from Niagara MUFC. And we're joined by Owen from Cockney Red and the YouTube channel. And also, as always, we're joined by Adam Stott from the Mad Red United and YouTube channel. How's it going? How's it going this evening, lads? How are you all?
Good, mate.
Great, mate.
Top notch.
Yeah. Really good.
So we're gone live here this Friday evening because we have a lot to talk about as Manchester United fans. This kind of week, it's kind of been another hectic week with our club. It always is with Man United. So I suppose I'm going to kick it off and talk about with the most recent news that's come out with our club in the last 24 hours. As the title in the video says, Alexis Sanchez is a fraud. So I'm going to open the floor here with this Alexis Sanchez discussion. So for anyone who's been living under a rock and hasn't heard the news, Alexis Sanchez was on an Instagram live yesterday, and Sanchez had a couple of things to say about his time at Manchester United. So he said that when on his first day at the club and his first day of training, he rang his agent and he said, he wants to tear up his contract, he wants to leave and he wants to go back to Arsenal. And then he had kind of another couple of other things to say, kind of about the structure of the club and, more or less putting the blame on everyone else but himself for his poor form at United. Jimmy, I'm going to come to you first. Like, what do you make of all the shit that Sanchez started coming out with today?
To me, it's such comments to me suggest a weak mentality. I think he probably wanted to join Man City. I think that was his first choice. I think we know that. That's no secret. But he came to United for it. Let's be honest. He came to United for money. That's not a secret. I think that says a lot about his character. Says a lot about his mindset. I think the comments today, like you said there, I think he's trying to deflect blame. I mean, you can't go to you're going to a new club as an elite athlete. It has to be said. He was an elite athlete, but to me, coming to the club, you'd want to prove yourself, I think, and I think he kind of down to us more or less straight away, to be honest.
And like, Adam, what do you make of this situation? Because he's coming out slating the structure of the club. He said, from minute one, I knew something wasn't right. It kind of speaks volumes with regards to his whole attitude towards football. Like, and he was linked to Man City at that time. Like, what do you make of his whole comments and the whole situation?
He knew straight away that something wasn't right. I mean, on that amount of money at one of the biggest clubs in the world, you don't come out saying stupid things like that, do you, straight away? If you can't, like Tim said, if you can't handle going to a top club, dealing with the pressures of being at a top club. So let's take Arsenal completely out of this equation because Arsenal are not a top club. So Manchester United are the be-all and end-all in terms of world football. We know that. Yeah, we're not there now on the pitch, but still, in terms of what he says, structure and everything like that, maybe it's a higher pressure being at a football club like Manchester United. Maybe you want to stay at the so-called nearly clubs where you're top dog, where you're the best player on the pitch, because that's pretty much what Alexis Sanchez has been his whole career. He's always been the top player. As soon as he goes to one club where he's not first choice, he starts to spit his dummy out. I mean, come on. This was the worst transfer in the Premier League history, in my opinion, in terms of what came out of it. The guy is an absolute tool. He's a coward. And you know what? You look at all bad transfers through Premier League history. Alexis Sanchez was made for Manchester United. He was Premier League proven. He was at the right stage of his career to come in, hit the ground running. There was no excuse whatsoever. And it's all down to him and his mentality and how he looks at it. It's just feeling sorry for himself straight away. Yeah, I'm not having him at all. And you know what I've always said? He goes down in the bracket of... I said this the other week, and a lot of people said there's still a few good South American players who've come out of United. We're mentioning one a bit later tonight, but Rafael, who's come out and said his piece on Sanchez already, but he's going down with the other South American flops for me. He's going in the snake category alongside Di Maria. and what he said. Rojo's following in close with what he's saying and what his missus is saying. There's like a trait with South American footballers in Manchester United. It just does not go at all. Sanchez is top of the list now after what he said. Di Maria was there, but Sanchez has slapped ass. There's no excuse, absolutely no excuse for this guy to come out and talk about United in this way. Yeah, Mourinho. Yeah, we all know we had problems with Mourinho and stuff like that at the time. Let's not forget we came second the season before. You know what I mean? We were still in the Champions League when Sanchez came in. We should have been pushing on. I thought this might have been another piece in the jigsaw that might have took us to another level, and that's what it should have been. That was all rolled around. The stupid intro with the piano, everything about the guy just irritates me.
Oh, stop.
And you know what? He's just one of them players. He was the right man at the right time, and he blew it. And now he just doesn't look. He could have gone down as one of the best players of all time if he carried on his form that he was while he was at Arsenal. But you know what? He couldn't handle the pressure, mate. It's as simple as that. He couldn't handle being at a big club. And he's come out now lashing out because he's got no ties with United now. He's finally left the club. It's one of these interviews that always happens when he's left and he's got a big mouth all of a sudden. Well, if you had a problem while you was at the club, why didn't you open your mouth then and speak to someone then when you first started walking around? I'll tell you what, you didn't mind it when you signed your contract though, did you, mate? You prick. Anyway, that's me done.
Tim, I'd like to ask you just with regard to the situation, do you think as well that the fact Ollie replaced him with an 18-year-old Mason Greenwood, like he's seen that Mason Greenwood in the space of a couple of months is after surpassing his 18 months, 2 years at United. Like, do you think maybe he's looking at that with a hint of jealousy in that respect?
Well, I mean, that's where apparently a lot of the final straw in all this was a tackle that Mason Greenwood threw at him in training. And I tweeted it out yesterday. I mean, your role as a senior player at a football club is you know that you're going to get challenged, right? When Robo got challenged by Roy Keane, was there any spat? No. He took Roy Keane under his wing and nurtured him and brought him along. That's your role as a senior player. You're going to get challenged, and you can see off the challenge, but part of your job is to bring these guys along. And he's just, like Adam said, he's just, you know, whether it was jealousy or whatever it was, I mean, it's not the type of character, it just wouldn't survive at United. I mean, Mourinho was tough on Luke Shaw. He said things about Rashford, right? And did you see any lashing out from those players? You see those players, what did they do? They just put their head down and got to work. Marcus Rashford has come back with his best season in a United shirt. Luke Shaw was terrific for us when Ole came in. So, you know, there was no sort of lash out or whatever you want to call it. But you look at the mercenary footballers that we had in Di Maria and now Sanchez. I mean, it's just been, like Adam was saying, is it a South American thing? I don't know, but it's that era of those players that came in that they just, for whatever reason, when things went wrong, the toys just came out of the pram, and that was it. It's bizarre.
And Owen, me and you were chatting about this earlier. Like, how were you feeling when that Instagram live dropped and Sanchez was, you know, talking shit? Like, how were you feeling at that point?
I just think he's a bit of a twat, to be honest. I think there's no other way of putting it. He's just
missed you, Owen, mate. Missed you, mate.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to describe him. He came in and rinsed us. You know, his quote is saying that, you know, he wanted his agent to rip up his contract. Well, he didn't. He wanted a £10 million payout from the club. So shut up about that, you lying twat, firstly. And it's just you're going on about the South American curse. It just seems to have always been there. I mean, we've had a few good ones probably, but, you know, like Rafael, maybe Gabriel Heinze, Sergio Romero, Valencia, but like Kleberson, Di Maria, Falcao, in terms of failed ones, we've had the massive flops there as well. And it's just delighted to see Sanchez go off the books. And look, it's just like a bitter ex-girlfriend, isn't it? He's just giving it off after we split up with him. He's got the divorce settlement. He's just giving it large now.
Trying to rinse you again.
And you know what, Owen? You brought up South American players there, and like you brought up like Kleberson and Di Maria and Falcao and stuff like that. Do you know, I'm just going to throw it out there. Anderson was a lot better player for Manchester United than Alexis Sanchez ever was. Do you know what I mean? So
And
There's another South American that we did have his moments at the club, but yeah, Sanchez is just a dickhead. I'm just going to throw that out there.
That double
dickhead.
season. Anderson was immense in that season that we won the double, 2007, 2008. He was immense.
Scored a banging free kick against Tottenham as well at White Hart Lane.
I think it boils down to mindset and character. He's a snake, and we're well rid of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Now, look, I suppose the title of the video tonight was Alexis Sanchez is a fraud, but I think we've given that dickhead enough airtime now tonight, to be fair.
It's true.
So, on to more positive and more enlightening Manchester United stories. And so this week we did sign the Donny Van De Beek from Ajax in a £40 million deal. And so this, I believe, in my opinion, this deal is unbelievable in terms of value for money, in terms of attitude. I think Van de Beek is going to be like a very good player for Man United. I was so happy when the news eventually broke that we did sign him. Jimmy, in terms of Van de Beek signing, were you happy at this, or were you thinking maybe a player like Jack Grealish or someone like that to come in? Like, what did you make when you heard the news?
Do you know what? You mentioned Jack Grealish there, and I think in a world where you're being quoted 80 million for Jack Grealish, I think 40 million for Van de Beek is definitely good value. Now, I'm not an expert on Dutch football. I'm not going to pretend to be, but I did watch him when Ajax reached the Champions League semi-final 2 seasons ago. I think he can play as an 8, he can play as a 10. He's quick, he can pass. Technically, he's very good. He's comfortable with the ball in tight spaces. He can play defensively. But I think he's going to play further forward, probably try and link the midfield and the attack. But I think we could have a really good player in our hands. I'm hoping so.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim, like, what do you make it his signing? Do you maybe think will he be kind of a backup player for like a Bruno Fernandes or a Paul Pogba, or do you think maybe in the kind of against the smaller teams, Ollie might play him in the number 6? Because in certain games this season, we did have trouble breaking down kind of the supposed lesser teams.
No, that's exactly it. I think that in the games where we're going to dominate possession and where teams are going to become compact and sit deep, you don't need necessarily a traditional number 6. You can get away with maybe 2 number 8s and Pogba and Van de Beek sort of and just being cognizant of their defensive responsibilities. But I mean, you look at like a game like Crystal Palace this year, where we had 71% possession and just couldn't break teams down. And like in and around that area, we were over 60% in those games leading up to the loss at Newcastle. I think if you can get him sort of playing higher up the pitch, he can get into those little pockets of space between the compressed lines with Bruno, working with Bruno, and hopefully helping us unlock defenses, right? And then, like you said, if we do need to rotate Bruno, then we can play him in the number 10, and you could, maybe play Pogba and pair him with Matic or McTominay or Fred, whoever you want to rotate in if they're still there. So, yeah, absolutely. I think you're bang on with how you think we roll them out.
Owen, like with this, like with Van de Beek signing, there's been talks now that Fred might move on to Galatasaray. Like, do you think maybe we should keep him because I suppose in midfield we've lacked like kind of depth in midfield and quality. Do you maybe think we should keep Fred, or do you think it's maybe time for him to go?
No, I think Fred should definitely be. He's a valued member of our squad. I think he was probably one of our better players throughout the season, and I feel like the reaction to Van de Beek. I seen Danny Murphy do an interview on 5 Live, I think it was, basically saying how he thought it was the end for Pogba. If you look at top level midfield throughout Europe, if you look at City's midfield, Liverpool's midfield, you have 5, 6 first choice that can go into a midfield 3. Why shouldn't we have that? I feel like, the likes of Pereira, Lingard, Mata are probably going to move on. And you look at that midfield, then you've got Matic, McTominay in that holding row, and you've got Fred, Pogba, Bruno, and Donny Van De Beek, and that is like a midfield 6. And then you maybe bring in younger players like Jimmy Garner into that fold. That sounds brilliant to me. And this reaction of getting rid of players, like, you need a squad to compete in the Premiership and the Championship. So I think it's just ludicrous people linking Fred to go away. Like, it's just stupid.
Yeah, and like Adam, what do you make of all these comments? Like, of the media, like Sky Sports, Talk Sport, like they've been saying that like this panic buy. Like I seen Paul Merson comments today, like I seen him on Twitter just before we went live saying
Don't listen
Donny Van
to
De Beek's a
Paul
panic.
Merson. No, he's next in line to get sacked, Keane. Come on, man. We all know that.
Well,
Adam, what do you make of the comments?
Basically, I never pay one iota of attention to what Paul Merson has ever has to say. The guy is an absolute clown, and he's lucky to be in a job, in my opinion. But in terms of what other people are saying, like Owen was touching on what people on the radio have been saying. I've listened to what I think Ray Parler said it. I've heard Danny Murphy talking about. I've heard a few, and you know what? These guys don't watch United. It's simple. They don't watch United. They can't watch United every single game. They've got no idea. For him to even mention Pogba in the same breath as Van De Beek, and Van De Beek coming in and Pogba leaving is just scandalous on its own. It's just ridiculous. What this transfer does for United, it gives Pogba and Bruno either a kick up the arse when needed or a rest when needed as well. Because there's formations we can play all three in. There's formations that we've got no chance of playing all three in, but it's an option that's there. I think I said it on my channel the other day, the only reason Fred would ever be worried in this midfield if the rumours about Thiago coming in were true. Because if Thiago comes in as well, then someone's got to go. It's either a Fred or it's a McTominay. I just don't think Fred values himself the same as what McTominay does. I think McTominay looks at it as a youth player that's come through the system, knows his role at Manchester United and accepts that he is probably going to be a bit part player. Whereas Fred, I think, thinks more of himself. And the only reason he would not fit in, he fits in perfect right now as a six of the six midfielders we've got in McTominay, Matic, Fred, obviously Van De Beek, Bruno and Pogba. It's perfect. You've got so many different options there and formations you can play with M6. But if a Thiago comes in, Thiago's on another planet. He's just on a different stratosphere in terms of how he plays and what he does. And he will probably be straight into that team. You don't leave Champions League winners, people who have won man of the match in a Champions League final with the talent that was on show in that game. They don't sit on the bench. They're the ones, the next link to win you the title. That's why Liverpool are looking at him, which I don't think they're going to get him because they can't afford him. They really can't. But for Van De Beek to come into this team right now, we didn't expect it. I think he's a bonus signing for United right now because Tim mentioned it on my channel many a time. The drop-off in talent and quality of player in our midfield creative department is very, very big. You've got a Pogba, and that drops down to a Fred. You've got Bruno, that drops to McTominay. Or either way, you can look at them in both ways. It's just not the same. Whereas Pogba comes off and a Van de Beek comes on, you're still thinking, right, it was a different avenue of play here. Maybe a bit more energy.
Yeah.
Not as good a quality on the ball, I don't think, but it's another option, another quality option, but in a different way. That's what United have never had since Ferguson left. We've just not had it. And for us to have this many options now, bring in certain players elsewhere in the team, and you're looking at a team there that could possibly start closing the gap on Liverpool and City, but it's going to take a little bit more. We're moving definitely in the right direction. And to sum it all up, this type of play that Van de Beek is, the noises that have been, people have been talking about him, all the Dutch journalists, I've heard a lot of ex-Dutch players and Dutch media on the radio this week, his character, his work ethic, how nice he'll integrate straight away. He's just perfect for Manchester United. He's that feel-good factor player, and he will add an extra bit of quality to our team when we need it. You know what? It's going to be interesting to see how well he handles it. Everyone's guessing at the moment how he's going to play it, but I'll be honest, I can guarantee it. No one's got a clue how well he's going to start that next season because you've got quality all over the place there in that midfield now. It's a good job we're not deciding it anyway, lads, isn't it? Because I think we'd be scratching our heads as well as to who play in that team because I can't pick it. Certain games I know would work in, but
very good problem to have.
It's a problem you need to have, mate. You need to have that problem as a big club. We've not had it for so long. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can go to an FA Cup game now and go, you know what? I don't have to play any of them. I've got Fred and McTominay and Matic. You know what I mean? That's more than enough to get through. These Pogba and Bruno walk straight into that team. They're thinking now, you know what? Maybe not this week. I'm going to walk straight in. Ollie's got the option now. That's the difference. And that'll play on their mindset. They'll be thinking, right, okay. Like, I think, was it Tim who said with Keane, when Keane came in for Robson, it changes a player. You either Sanchez or you're Robbo. Let's just put it like that. Which way are you going to go? Yeah. Van De Beek just looks like that character who will he just looks vibrant, doesn't he? He just looks like he's gonna cheer the place up, doesn't he? He's got the right attitude. You can just tell, and that's what's going on at United at the moment, and it's good. And I can see why we've bought him. Don't get me wrong; he's cheap as chips, and that was probably a big factor in it. But for me, works on every single scale. That signing, absolutely every single scale. I'm absolutely buzzing with that signing.
Yeah, it's a great sign. And one final thing I'll just say on the Van De Beek sign is, I seen they're talking on the Sky Sports Transfer Talk show there about 2 days ago, and they said we got a £40 million player. Sorry, we got an £80 million player for 40 million. Like, and that speaks volumes.
Agree.
Jimmy, you work in the area of sports psychology. Now, in the last couple of weeks, like the Harry Maguire situation has been a very high-profile story in the media. And like obviously Harry Maguire now is going to have a lot more scrutiny now more than ever when he returns to Manchester United. From like the kind of sports psychology standpoint, like how do you think he's going to deal with this situation? Like, and what's kind of the best way of dealing with it?
In terms of performance?
In terms of everything, in the whole kind of situation as a whole, in terms of performance, in terms of, dealing with the media obligations, in terms of being captain, like where should his mindset be now?
I think the first thing I would say is that all elite athletes generally have strong mental resolve. I mean, from a young age, they've made that conscious decision, I want to be a professional footballer. That's the first step in the process. Then secondly, you think of the sacrifices they have to make. They have to cut out their social life. They have to sacrifice foods, their diet is all geared towards the game on Saturday. They can't go looking at their own girls with their mates. All these sacrifices, then they're facing trials, knockbacks, rejections. So I think athletes have elite mindsets anyway. And then there's something what we would call the psychology of rebounding. So essentially, when an athlete is faced with a setback, how can they come back from that setback stronger? And one of the most important things is, there are a number of things, but I'll discuss probably the most important thing, in my opinion, is the idea of social support. So your peer groups, your family, your friends. I think that's really important. So I think Harry Maguire, he's not captain of the biggest club in the world for nothing. So I think he'll do okay. I think he'll come back from this stronger. I think as long as he has a tight group and he has to keep that bubble, that circle tight.
Yeah, like it's a situation now where, look, we all fully support him. Like we all spoke about this previously about the Harry Maguire situation, and I think also as a fan base, we have to get behind him now more than ever. Like I suppose with the fan base, we have to kind of have this us against the world mentality, because at the end of the day, when a Manchester United player does something, like everyone will be looking for that opportunity to go in and dive in at him and criticize him. Like even look at the time when Ronaldo, got Rooney sent off in that 2006 World Cup. The media, the fan, like rival fans, everyone just came in and kind of dived at Ronaldo. But like Sir Alex, Rooney, the whole squad, they're all together, and the United fans were together, and we defended him. And I think we have to do the same for Maguire in this case.
But Ronaldo came back stronger.
Yeah,
that's the difference between a top player, or as Adam said, or Sanchez. I think in general, most top athletes would have a strong mindset, so I think we'll be okay.
I agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree. I think it'll be. I think he'll come back stronger. I think it will. I think it'll focus him even more on his football and realize where he is and what he's got. And you know what, he'll look at it. I think, I know, I'm guessing. This is just when you get something like this happens, it puts everything into perspective, like what's important. And you know what? He won't make that mistake ever again in his life. He won't. I think he's got the right sort of team around him who will get behind him. The fan base will be behind him. Now we know sort of all the facts about what's happened, and we've heard both sides of the story. Well, we're never going to hear a truthful side from the Greeks, but we know exactly what Harry Maguire is. And I think he'll just concentrate his mind on his football now because, you know what, we can't do anything until the retrial, which could be 2 years away. So he has to focus on something. And you know what, he'll get into that training ground, he'll get into Carrington, and I'm sure he will just focus his mind on his football because that's all that's important right now. Season's just around the corner. Luckily, he's not had a long pre-season to dwell on it, and the press have just been right down on him. Luckily, Messi came to the rescue and took a lot of the limelight away at the right time. So, you know what, it's not all focused on Harry Maguire. And yeah, you're looking at it, you go, there's going to be scrutiny on him, but we're going back to empty stadiums again. Hello, Tim's missus. No problem.
Kids, man.
You know, it's going back to empty stadiums, so he's not going to get like the Beckham or Ronaldo effect, is he? So, you know what? I think he'll handle it well. I think he's going back playing against players who know the pressures, and they'll know exactly what kind. I mean, you're looking like people like Jack Grealish. People go out, people scrutinised all the time. And I just feel like I don't think it's going to be any issue for him. I really don't. It just he looks like he's that type of character. He'll just accept the mistake he's made in terms of putting himself in that situation, learn from it, and he'll move on. I'm fully confident that it won't affect him at all. I just think from the outside, that's how I see him, and that's what he looks like. It's no coincidence he's got the captain's armband straight away at United, and that speaks volumes on its own. So I'm confident he'll just focus, and it'll focus him even more.
One more thing I'd like to add, Keane, that's all right.
Yeah, work away.
I read an interview recently from a fellow called Neil Collins, who was Harry Maguire's youth coach, and he described him as someone who was well equipped for pressure. And he said that he came in and went straight into the first team. So I think that speaks volumes about the character of Maguire. So I think in terms of performance, he could really use this, as Adam said, he could really use this.
Yeah,
I think I think a lot of it is the culture that's at the club right now too. When you look at what the type of characters that Ole has tried to bring in and what they're developing, and we heard Mason Greenwood get asked an absolutely ridiculous question in the England press conference about his thoughts on the Harry Maguire incident and how well he handled it, and said he couldn't just, they couldn't wait to get back and see Harry, that it wasn't really for him to talk about the details, but they couldn't wait to get back to the club and see him. And he's going to have that whole support network around him. And with what Ole has created there, I think it might have been a bit different had, say, another manager been there and the toxicity that had been around the club to come back to. But there's such a positive factor going on right now at United that's just going to help feed into that positive attitude to move them forward.
Imagine if this happened under Mourinho, we'd all be absolutely shitting ourselves now. We'd be thinking that we'd fall apart this year. We'd probably finish mid-table.
Yeah,
it would. Mourinho would probably he'd just put it out there even more, wouldn't he? He'd just make the situation 20 times worse.
Yeah,
it really would. Anyway, Mourinho's too busy, glamming up on Amazon Prime at the moment. Probably more about football at the moment.
Telling Dele Alli that he has no dad. That is the hardest thing I think I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, stop! Like watching them 3 episodes of All or Nothing, and you can see Mourinho's like, if I pick on you, I like you. That's definitely not the case. What did he do to Paul Pogba? Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh
yeah. Lads, I'd like to talk to Sergio Romero. It came out this week that he looks like he's on his way to Aston Villa. Now, Sergio Romero has been a fantastic servant to the club since his arrival. Like, anytime he's been called upon, he's done a good job, and he's always been happy with his role at the club, and he's been very professional about it. I'd like to get your thoughts kind of about Romero's time at the club and Do you know, with regards to him leaving, like, do you think, is this the right time? Obviously, because with De Gea and Dean Henderson, do you think it's the right time now just to kind of say goodbye at this point? So, Jimmy, I'll come to you first with that.
I think with Henderson coming back, someone's going to have to go, and I think it's going to be Romero. One thing I would say about Romero, yes, he's been a brilliant servant, but you have to question the ambition of someone who was basically happy to sit on the bench for 5 years. So I think maybe his time is up.
And like Adam, like, what do you make of it, Romero to Villa? Like, do you know the fact that he's kind of staying at a Premier League club? There was kind of talks he might go back to, might go over to La Liga. Like, what do you make? Do you think it's a good move for him?
I do, yeah. I think Romero was happy to be a number 2. I think it was a whole deal him coming in. Let's not forget we didn't pay anything for him. I think it was set up by Van Gaal that he was going to be a number 2 goalkeeper. Van Gaal was always going to play De Gea, and Romero coming in, he just had to accept his role. And I think he's just kept with that role and accepted that at the time he came in, he was up against the best keeper in the world, and he knew what his role was. He was a brilliant number 2 goalkeeper. I don't think anyone in the world has got a better number 2 goalkeeper than what we've had in Romero, but he has accepted he is a number 2 goalkeeper. It's as simple as that. You wouldn't stay around that long at a football club and not want to play and get into the team. Henderson coming back, 6-year contract, 120 bags a week. He's thinking, I'm number 1. And as soon as he gets a chance, he ain't going to sit back on the bench when De Gea has a rest. If Henderson comes in and has a good game, he's going to be going and staring Ollie down and saying, what are you doing? What's happening now? I'm not for going sitting back on the bench. When I get my chance, I'm going to stay in goal. That's what I want. I want to be number 1 for England. I want to be United's number 1. He's already set out his stall. He's said it pretty much in every interview he's done. So I know for definite that Romero is going to go. You know what I mean? United have got goalkeepers coming out the ears at the moment, which more goal. I mean, our wage bill for goalkeepers right now is somewhere around 600 grand a week. And it's astronomical. I mean, that's how many goalkeepers we've got. I mean, we could loan out 3 goalkeepers to the Premier League and they'd be comfortably good enough for the Premier League. That's how many we've got. So Villa, probably perfect for Romero. It's the right sort of club ambition-wise. He's probably better than anything that they've had in. I mean, Heaton's a decent goalkeeper, but the injury sort of screwed that one up, didn't it, for them? So I think, yeah, Romero would fit into any other Premier League team in the league, I think, barring the top 4. That's how good a goalkeeper he is. I feel more confident a lot of the time when he's in goal rather than De Gea. And that's just because I'm not saying he's a better goalkeeper in terms of shot stopping and stuff like that, but he makes the defence look confident when he's behind them. He comes and catches the ball, commands his box a lot better. And you know what? In a relegation fight, you're going to need to do that. You're going to be busy man. So is he just there now thinking, you know what? This is my big hurrah. I'm just going to go out with a bang, be a number 1 for a couple of years and then retire. And you know what? I tweeted it out the other day. Good luck to him. You know what? I think I got about just under 3,000 likes on it. I think the United fan base will give him his best wishes, see him off. And you know what? There's one South American I don't think he's in the bad books of many United fans, to be honest. So we can add him to the other category, mate.
No, definitely not, man. He's been nothing but a quality servant for us, man.
Brilliant.
He's been brilliant since he came in 2014.
Except in a number 2 role, that takes some dedication on its own.
I mean, I could thinking about his whole time at the club. I think the only time I think I can remember a bad game. Do you remember he played the start of the season under Van Gaal because there was the contract dispute. Yeah, the Swansea game, and then that mistake against Bruges. But over a 6-year period, and he was our cup keeper as well. And winning the Europa League in 2017. He played the final, played all the games throughout the tournament. He's been nothing. Example, there's no. I think the ambition thing by yourself there, Jimmy, was a bit harsh, to be honest. I feel like most professional keepers would be happy to be number 2 at Man United. In all fairness,
Do
feel
you
like he's down throughout the division.
Do you think just what Adam said, that he accepted to be number 2? Do you think there's any element of that might have contributed to not the decline of David De Gea? Decline is too big a word, but he's not the same player. He had the mistakes. Do you think that lack of pressure might have contributed to that?
I don't think so, because if you look at the majority of goalkeepers throughout the league and like throughout Europe in general, their number 2 necessarily isn't pushing them every week. You know, you're not looking at Liverpool's starting lineup going, oh, is Adrian going to come in over Alisson, or is who is even the C? Is Claudio Bravo? Is Claudio Bravo going to come in? Do you know what I mean? You're never really. I feel like that's not really. I feel like De Gea's decline has just been natural. I don't think it's been down to the pressure of a number 2. I don't think that's really a thing for keepers. It obviously it can be, but on the whole, I don't think that's a rule for keepers.
And like Tim, like with regards to like the De Gea Dean Henderson situation, like how do you think Ollie deals with this situation? Because he has 2 world-class goalkeepers like at his disposal right now.
Well, I think Ollie was quite clear, when De Gea was making mistakes, particularly in the second half of the season, that he was behind him 100%. I think that internally, obviously, the board and the people who are in charge of the finance side of things will be hoping that Dean Henderson on 120K a week will be able to displace De Gea on 375K a week and overtake that number 1 spot, and that De Gea will move on. I think that the way Ollie handles it is, look, I think he's going to back De Gea as his number 1, obviously, to start, but that obviously assurances, in order for Dean Henderson to come back and sign that contract, we know that he wants to challenge for the number 1 spot. So obviously assurances were made that he was going to get opportunities, and that he was probably assurances were also made that, they were backing to secede De Gea when it was time for De Gea to move on. So it's going to be difficult for him, because he's going to have, he's obviously loyal to De Gea, but it's keeping that harmony between keeping De Gea happy and also allowing Henderson to have his opportunities to come in and show what he can do and challenge for that position. And going back to what Jimmy and Owen were talking about, I'm in the camp that I do buy into the fact that I think that De Gea knew he had that position locked down. And when you make the amount of mistakes that he was making, and you realize that there's really no serious threat from your number 2 coming in and taking that number 1 position, because Ole had numerous opportunities to promote Romero to that number 1 spot, and we just knew it wasn't going to happen. So I think that maybe that just doesn't keep you sharp. It doesn't challenge you. Maybe the drive subconsciously you just drop a bit. And I think now, hopefully, with Dean Henderson coming in and De Gea knowing that he's got somebody really pushing him for that number 1 spot, that might just bring him up another gear and get him back to where he was.
Yeah, look, I suppose it's a very good problem that Ollie has at the moment. You have them 2 good goalkeepers to his disposal. Now, look, albeit that people will talk about the wages, but in fact, we have 2 good goalkeepers at the moment. We probably have the 2 best first and second choice options in the league. Now, people say Alisson is the best keeper in the league at the moment, and justifiably so. But in terms of options, I think Man United have the best options in terms of a number 1 and a number 2 at the moment.
Yeah, it's not a bad problem.
Yeah, 100%.
Henderson's not been given a squad number though yet, which is a bit weird today.
Yeah, at least that's a weird one. I wonder what number you get. I wonder will you get Romero's number? What number is he? 22 or something?
22.
Probably get Romero's number.
Is Lee Grant staying on? Because I don't like.
Because better not be.
I mean, you got to run.
Lee Grant. He played about half an hour.
The most pointless signing ever.
Apparently he gets along well with all the boys. So
I
don't give a shit, mate. He can make a nice breeze and all. I don't care. You know what I mean? What's he on about? 40, 50 grand a week? Christ.
I think he's on 20.
Yeah.
Fuck, he better bleed Nadby, I tell you, mate. Was he on a bonus now because we're in the Champions League?
Pereira's gone on about his
fuck's
600
sake.
points, so the Pereira's gone through. I think Lee Grant is probably sticking around.
Poor Lee.
Yeah.
Seriously,
He's just sticking around for the banter in the dressing room with Jesse Lingard.
Oh, yeah,
that's what he wants to do now.
talking about banter. I don't know if this looks actually official, but what the fuck is that third kit? Is that genuine? Is that genuinely our kit?
Yeah, so I was looking
that
at
is
that.
Our kit. That's our third kit.
Is that? I just got a picture. I got a picture up of it now. That's not real.
No, it's right.
It is. It's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
It's absolutely horrible.
It's an abomination. That's what it is.
It looks like a bad acid trip. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Hey, it's look at it. That. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did Adidas pay to design that?
What the?
Who
I
like?
think.
In their office in Germany, right? They literally someone has been paid thousands of pounds to design that shirt.
Yeah.
Someone probably went to college and paid 10 grand and designed that shirt.
You know what though?
Mate,
Halloween's coming up. You go to the store and buy a nice zebra hat to go on top of that. Go out as a zebra or something, right?
That is a 1970s pimp.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah, like a little hat, like a little fedora, like the pimp fedora with the feather.
I mean, it's horrendous. It's horrendous.
It's awful.
We need to say about that.
It's terrible. That ranks up there.
I ain't having that one.
No, like I this year I'm probably going to buy more retro jerseys. I don't think I'm actually going to buy any of the jerseys this season.
Yeah, no. I mean,
I'm sporting the 92 jersey today.
Yeah. You always got that one. That's your favourite, that Keane, mate.
Retro's the way to go.
Yeah,
man.
Keane number 16 on the back.
Yeah.
What
lads, just talking about transfers, since we're talking money, like, do you think we're going to make any more signings in this window, or do you think maybe this Van De Beek deal is going to be kind of a one and done? Like, do you think that on transfers, do you think we're going to make any more?
Yeah, I hope so.
Hope so.
You hope so, wouldn't you?
There's noises, isn't there? There's plenty of noises saying Ollie wants 3 more. Well, then I literally just been speaking to Kieran Maguire, as you all know, on my show there, and it's like the money's there, but it's how United want to structure it. Because if Dortmund stick to their high initial payment that they want for Jadon Sancho, then United have to sell players. I think it's as simple as that. There's no other way that we can make that transfer happen unless we start getting rid of a few players, and we're getting closer and closer. I think if Sancho happens, I've got a feeling it's going to be one of them horrible right down to the wire things. I really do. It's going to be painful, but that could be the difference. That, you know what, a player like that, I keep saying it, a player like Sancho would be all he needs. A player like Sancho, he really does, because I just don't think he's got all the managerial, tactical, coaching capabilities there. He needs to learn them, but to give him the time, he needs better players around him. Sancho is another one like Van De Beek, fits perfectly. Yeah. He has to get him. If he doesn't, I sort of fear for him in a way, because we're not going to get Sancho again next season. He's going to be gone somewhere else. And look, if it's true, like I've said it before, Barcelona have just lost Suarez now, supposedly going to Juve, although apparently when Messi came out with an announcement before, it was keeping Suarez was part of it. And that would be the world's biggest joke if that happens. But if Suarez goes, Rakitic is gone, Barcelona are going to need players. First thing that happens when that new president comes in next year, players like Sancho, all these big high quality players, high profile players, they're all going to be gunned down by Barcelona. It's what's going to happen. We know it, and we're just going to miss out again. So how they structure it, I don't know, but it's something that just keeps telling me we're going to get him. I don't know what it is, but you know, like one story one week, one the next week. Typical United summer.
I think the way the Sancho deal has been set up, they can't fail on this one. we know it's the primary target. We know that United want him. They've been pushing hard for him at the cost of maybe, they got the Van De Beek deal over the line, but maybe at the cost of sort of tunnel vision on the Sancho deal. So I think they have to get it done. And if we're talking about depth, your bench looks a lot different. Sancho's going to come in obviously to your first 11, but your bench looks a lot different with Van De Beek and Mason Greenwood on it, and players that can come in and, like I said it the other day, I think on your show, Adam, players that can come in from the bench and make an impact. That's what you want from your substitutes. You want Ole's looking down the bench right now, and who is going to come in and change the game for him and make an impact? Juan Mata in the Europa League came in. Maybe he can come in at times, but who is it that's going to come in and change a game? So when you bring in, this is just contributing not only to making your first 11 better, but also to your depth, which is a massive issue for us.
Yeah, you touched on transfers again. We got the left back Regulion, and obviously De Gea's been doing his agent part with his pictures as well. So that could be another one. I don't know what you guys think about the left back situation.
We don't need a left back, man.
I think United need left back.
See, there you go. It's totally open. Everyone's totally different.
Just to make things juicy, I'm going to disagree.
It don't need to be. It's juicy enough. Holding juicy things abroad for himself. We've got the juice. We don't need it.
What about putting Williams over to the right again and then bringing someone else in to challenge Shaw on the left?
Yeah. What? And take out Wan-Bissaka?
No, he's challenging for Wan-Bissaka. You were talking about quality position, players fighting for places. Wan-Bissaka goes down, then Williams comes in. He's right-footed.
Wan-Bissaka don't go down. This is the thing. It's been shown over the last while. Like fullbacks, Robertson and Trent have played how many games?
Doesn't matter, mate.
Pretty much every game.
When his form goes down, which Wan-Bissaka's has recently, kick up the arse won't do him. We're doing quite a good job, mate.
Do you not think Dalot's capable of that?
No.
Fair enough.
No. I'd rather have Mensah. I'd take Mensah over Darlow right now, personally.
Well, then maybe is Timbo not that backup right back that you could see in there, no?
I prefer Timbo at centre half, to be honest.
Yeah, Timbo's got limitations so wide.
I think Timbo's a great club player, though.
For sure, yeah.
You said that we can't fail with Sancho. I think if there's anyone that could fail with this, it's Ed Woodward, man. It seems like we shouldn't be able to fail. Like we've been linked
I'll tell you,
target. But if there's anyone that would fuck this up with his ego,
hey, the best one I heard was on the Third Eye View on Monday with the boys, and we were talking about Fabrizio Romano. And he's always right. So if there was one club that could cock up his 100% record, it'd be United messing it all up, wouldn't it? It'd be United, wouldn't it? It had to be.
The Sancho thing's going to...
It would be us, it would be us.
It would, wouldn't it?
It would, 100%. You could see Romano tweeting, "Here we go." Next minute then, 2 hours later, United brief. "Oh no, we're not signing Sancho, we're signing Ismail Sarr." Do you know what I mean? It'd be something like that.
The Sancho one's going to go the same way as the Maguire one. It's United, we want to pay in installments. No. Dortmund, no. We want to pay installments. No. We want to pay installments. No. Okay, here's 120 million. It's the same way that they went with Maguire, right? They wanted to pay Leicester installments. Leicester said no.
They wanted to pay Leicester 60, and then Leicester just laughed at them.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because, like I said, just talking to Kieran then a few minutes ago, the money is there in the bank for United. I think they're just buying the time. The revolving credit could come in when they need it to cover certain finances. And I think they're just waiting to see. I do actually think they're waiting to see what happens with certain player sales. If push comes to shove, I just feel right at the end, they will make it happen. I think they will do something to make it actually happen. Because we've got players there that we can get rid of to make this happen. We clearly have. We've got money there that would pay for this Sancho deal. It's just, can United be brutal enough to actually get these players out the door instead of Rojo shouting the odds from South America what shirt number he's going to be this season while his wife's slugging off Manchester at the same time? Get your cutthroat out, Ollie, and start being mean. You know what I mean? Start treating these players like Ferguson will.
This the same couple. This is the same couple who couldn't even make a slice of toast, so they should be saying a fucking thing.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough.
Relevant, man. We all forgot about Rojo, to be honest. He went to Estudiantes. He's out in Argentina drinking a few bottles of Quilmes for himself. He's loving life. Just let him be. Just
living the dream.
The clubs in Argentina don't even want him. Like, I'm reading the Argentinian news over here because I'm closer, I guess, and like the Independiente, nobody wants him over there. They just want him gone. So
he's at Estudiantes.
He hasn't got football at the forefront of his mind. His mind is on all sorts of other things. And you know what? Yeah, when you get him on, sometimes he's full blooded, and it's great. But how many appearances has he made since he's been here? You know, he's probably got as bad a record as Phil Jones.
Yeah.
Remember, at one point we had him and Phil Jones playing centre back, and it was just a car crash waiting to happen. Like, do you know what I mean?
You know what? It did work all right.
We're gonna have nightmares, Keane.
Because I remember it was actually called Roe Jones at one point, and it actually did all right for a couple of games. It was on Twitter.
I remember them days. I remember
Roe Jones, and you're like, oh, right. We've gone from Rio and Vidic to fucking Roe Jones.
Okay, let's get off the roll.
Mate, they're talking now. We've had some absolute doozies of centre-back partnerships, haven't we? Remember Evans and Jones? Oh
yeah.
God.
Also, I've just looked up. He only ever played one game for Estudiantes while he was on loan there.
Oh, and he tried to renew his loan, and they were like,
basically said, "No,
we're good, mate.
No.
Yeah, you're fine." So then he was looking at, he's just,
yeah.
Like, even just alluding to Phil Jones, like we had a dark time at the club under Van Gaal when Phil Jones is on corners. That was another tough time for Sir Alex Ferguson.
I was there, mate. QPR away. It was honestly, I've never been more baffled at anything in my life.
I was alive when Phil Jones was on corners.
Amazing.
I thought someone had put crack in my brother. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, that's what it's like. You say someone posted that out. Someone posted that out the other day. This is when the United fans realised everything was going wrong. Phil Jones like that on a corner.
Yeah. Like you could probably literally look in the crowd, and there's probably literally 10 people in the crowd there that could have taken a better corner.
Yeah.
You could have plucked 10 people out of the crowd probably. They could have swung in a better corner.
It was horrendous. That was a Owen wants to score that game, mate.
I think about that, man.
Did we win 2-0?
I think we won.
I think James Wilson scored that
We
game.
won that game, yeah.
James Wilson scored a late one. I think it was 2 or 3-0.
Yeah.
I remember James Wilson scoring late on.
Yeah. Andy Wilson.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's at Solomon now. That's a steady decline.
Go on, Keane.
Lads, this kind of the part of the show where I kind of asked the lads, whoever's on the show, just the viewers' questions. So today I got a question from one of our viewers, and it was in relation to the Manchester City kind of giving David Silva a statue, and they asked me kind of a similar question, like who should be outside Old Trafford, the next statue? Like, we've loads of statues outside the club of all the great players, and Sir Alex himself outside the stadium. Like, if you had a choice, I'll come to each one of you. Like, who do you think should be the next ex-player that should have a statue outside Old Trafford? Jimmy, I'll come to you first with
that. Wayne Rooney, 250 goals, record goal scorer. He's a standout for me, so that's my choice.
Tim?
Well, Jimmy kind of stole my thunder, so I'm going to go away a little bit, and I think I'm going to go with, it's all good, mate. It's all good. I'm going to go with Giggsy. Appearance leader, never just a true professional, was part of all 4 of the team, or 3 out of the 4 teams that Sir Alex built. Just changed roles, right? Came into the middle of the park later in his career. I think he scored 3 goals in the 98-99 season, and one of them won us the famous FA Cup. I'm not going to take my shirt off, but you guys get the idea.
Take it off.
Not happening.
Owen, like, who do you think should get the statue? Do you have any different opinion, like Giggsy or Rooney?
I was thinking Rooney myself earlier, but also just like a bit of a proper blast from the past. I think Harry Gregg deserves a massive shout there as well because of what a hero he was for the club. You know how many people he saved in that Munich air disaster. I think it's quite a just a unanimous thing from the United fans that he probably should have had a statue outside Old Trafford. A lot of United fans say it's a disgrace that he isn't, and that the club never looked after him as well as they should have. So I think Harry Gregg is a possible shout as well as
really good shout, mate.
Scholesy, Rooney. We've got legends galore in the last 20 odd years. So we'd have too many fucking statues if we went through all of them.
You have to look planning for permission for like extra, land around Manchester if you had to get all the statues of all our legends. Like,
all right, we'll just tarmac the car park, just put a statue of it. Happy days.
Adam, do you have any other kind of any shouts for a statue? I myself was thinking Antonio Conte because of all the shit that he's buying off us. So like Lukaku, Young and Sanchez. Like, do you know what I mean? Maybe he deserves a shout.
Yeah, I think William Prunier should get one. To be honest, but no, I'm making a joke out of that because I don't think anyone should get a statue. I don't think there should be any. We're not Arsenal. I just feel like United are too big a club to put one player out on a statue. I agree on terms of what Owen was saying more. It's the people and the foundations of the football club that should be the ones that get the statues and the accolades like that. Alex Ferguson, Sir Alex, for what he's done, obviously. It goes without saying. The Busby Babes. And that's why Harry Gregg probably comes into it. You know what I mean? So Bobby's got a stand named after him.
And he's got
Bill Folks too. Another.
And you know what? I just feel like I feel like we're too big. I think we're too big. I feel like it's sort of like the statues I don't really agree with in terms of what they sort of stand, because there's so many other people that have been involved with every single one of them people that's up there in the statue. I feel like it's a team game and there's a lot of elements to the success. The great players won't be as great if they didn't have the team around them. And I'm not keen on the whole thing. I understand longevity. That's the one, the commitment to the club, the changing of the times. So that's why I understand what's out there at the moment in front of Old Trafford and what the stands are named after. But for me, there's no one of the modern era who even gets close to me. I really don't think. I just feel like this club wouldn't be here without the likes of what's already up there in terms of the statues and the stands that have got the names. So they're the ones that should stay. There's no one else. Cantona? No, not Cantona. No, I love Cantona as a legend.
I'd have thought that was
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Cantona, but I know what was playing alongside Cantona at the time.
True.
I know everything that was there. If I'm going to put Cantona there, I'm going to put Robson there. And it's, you know what I mean? I grew up in idolising Brian Robson and what he did and how he changed things and how he looked after players. Cantona was very, very similar. But for me, I just think it's a foundation thing. And I think statues just need to be left to the older guard, the people who started the club off. They're the ones who are important, the ones who give us the club in the first place. Right now, there's too many players that them players have given the platform to. We could pick 10 between us right now who should go up there. You know what I mean? I think every club have got the favourites, but I just think United are too big a club to have statues. I'll be honest. It's just the way I see it. I understand why they're there and what's there now, but no more.
Yeah, like look, I suppose it is. You made a very good point. Like there's so many people who contribute to the club. Like we could talk literally all night about why every person would maybe justify one in that sense. But you've made a very good point there, Adam, with relation to that. Lads, I'm just going to come to you one quick fire question to the lot of you, just with regards to this. I know next week I'm doing my podcast with the rest of the fans in terms of the different clubs that have podcast regulars we do have on. I was going to ask you a quick fire question. Like, where do you think Man United are going to finish next season? Like, what do you think's the most like a realistic expectation that we can have for the season? Because it is incoming now. Like, Owen, I'm going to come to you first with that.
For me, you should probably. I feel like that question needs to be asked at the end of the transfer window. Truly, because if we sign, this is the thing. If we sign Sancho, I genuinely believe we can make not a genuine title challenge, but be up and about there until March, April time at least. However, if we don't sign Sancho, Van De Beek's the only player we bring in. I could be like fourth, just consolidating fourth, because Chelsea have just made so many great signings this year, and I can see them pushing on. So possibly, I'm gonna say third again, and a cup. I'm gonna win the FA Cup.
Adam,
I'm gonna go. It's like Owen said. Then if it's just Van De Beek, I say we get fourth and maybe get a cup. If we don't, then Ollie needs to be sacked. So, yeah, I think that's it. But you sign Sancho, different ball game. Different ball game. It really is. But with Van De Beek and the team we've got, you'd expect us to be better anyway, because for 3/4 of the season, we didn't have that team we finished with. So that team heading out at the start of the season, we should be better than what we was last season, ideally. But it's just you never know, do you, with injuries. We've got the worst injury record in the world, so you just don't know, do you? But if everyone stayed fit, I'd be confident for third. I just don't think we're all going to stay fit. I don't know. It's just what happens with United.
Tim, what do you reckon?
As it stands right now, yeah, we're battling Arsenal for fourth. Like all the boys have touched.
Arsenal?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think so. I think Arsenal's improved with what they've brought.
Mate, I think you've been having too many of them Canadian beers.
Well, put it this way: if we only sign Van De Beek, and Adams has touched on our injury record, we're 1 or 2 injuries away from having Pereira and Lingard come back into our midfield. So,
and Arsenal are 1 injury away from having Eddie Nketiah start up top all year. So look at it like that.
I'm just telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Like, I don't think Arsenal.
Come on, Tim. Surely Spurs have got a better chance than Arsenal. Under FC.
I think Arteta's got them going in the right direction. I do. I think you look at, they've won what? They won the FA Cup and they've won the Community Shield. They're a little bit of belief, right? You win some silverware, right? That's where it starts. And I think that under Unai Emery, it was just a disaster. And I think Arteta's got them really pulling in the right direction. So I think if they continue the signings that they've made, right? Gabriel was a good signing. They got Ceballos coming back on loan. So if we don't make any more signings, I really think that we're battling Arsenal. I do. I think they'll improve.
And Jimmy, what do you think?
I agree with Owen, actually. I think it's hard to judge it now. I think if you're looking at it now, especially the players Chelsea have bought, and then you have those other two teams above us, I think you're probably talking third or fourth. But if we get Sancho in, another couple of players, really is a different ballgame. I think we could. We're not going to win a title, are we? Let's be honest. But we could challenge. Could make a bit of a challenge, but
imagine if we did.
I think it's hard to. I think it's hard to judge it now. I think, like you said, a few more signs that give us a better way.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting how quickly we start. The start of the season is going to be key for us. It really is. But like you said, Champions League in now. Them fixtures straight after the Champions League games, and they're official. We've got City, Liverpool, and Arsenal, West Ham away, Southampton away, Everton away, straight after Champions League games. Squad's needed because we are crap in the league after a European game. We're lucky we've got the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, and City the following weekend, because they'll all probably have played European games as well. So in a sense, we're lucky on that. But the away games, they're all at home, by the way. The big teams, we've got them all at home, so we've got a chance there. But Southampton, we didn't win last season. Our record there is crap. Everton away, well, let's not even get into that. And then West Ham away, you've seen what happened last season. Then with a full week preparation, with United coming to town after we've been out in Europe, you know what I mean, the few days before, you need that squad. You need that squad because we'll turn up there and we know what we're like. We know when we go to places away from home after European games, the record speaks for itself. And like I said, our record at them places is shocking anyway. So that's the difference this season. Got to get a good start, and we've got to be able to manage 2 games a week because there's no winter break. We're in all the cup competitions. I know a lot of other teams are very similar, but you know, that's where the injuries are going to come in it, and that's when we're going to see the true mettle of this team and this squad because Pogba, Bruno goes down, Martial goes down. Oh my God. That's fair because Igalo's gone in January, and that's when all the trophies start being handed out. That's the nitty gritty. If we don't buy a striker or another forward in this window, are we relying on what happens in January? Where's the money situation going to be then? The squad's looking a bit more depleted again, isn't it? So going up to the 5th of October is going to be key for our season. It really is, and I think we'll know. I think with the signings that we make, if we're going to mount a serious challenge for the top 4 again. Because like I said, 2 or 3 injuries and we're back down in 7th and 8th, aren't we, with this squad?
One injury and we're in trouble, I think, if we don't make any more signings.
Like Van De Beek is out. Van De Beek's out.
Yeah, we could be in trouble.
Yeah, we're still short probably 3 or 4 players being real about it.
Jimmy said, look at that. Like Jimmy said, in that central midfield 6 there now. We're good. I think that's all right. I think we've got a good little setup there in the middle. Forward, we lose Martial. Greenwood can come in. But that's where a Sancho would come in handy. Do you know what I mean? He covers the whole front 3 in a way. Maybe not centre forward, but he can play left, he can play right. And then you're not as worried then, are you? You've got Greenwood to go forward and challenge for centre forward. James will come in, hopefully a little bit better than he was. I've seen his assist.
Last night.
So maybe, you know what? Another season for James under his belt.
Duffy as well. Big up
so, it's
big up to Shane Duffy for last night. Absolutely.
Last minute equaliser, mate. Went absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, United are going to sign Declan Rice for use free.
Oh, stop!
Oh, you know how much I hate that fucker.
You just had to, Adam. You just had to.
He's another dickhead. You know that? I wish I could change the point of this video.
You said Sanchez was a swear word. Rice is my fucking swear word. Don't even say his name around me, the prick.
What does Jimmy think about him?
Declan Rice.
Yeah.
He's a dickhead, isn't he? He's Irish. He's Irish woman, then English the next. He doesn't know what he is, so no, he's not for me. Not for me.
Ads is on the wind up.
You're not going to find one Irishman that's.
He's not for me.
I suppose, look, lads, my prediction for the Premier League, before just when the season ended, Jack Clemson, who's a Chelsea fan, is often on this show. We had a bet. And I said, look, with the way United finished, I thought United finished ahead of Chelsea this season. And I couldn't have foreseen their transfer business. So I could be in trouble. I could be in very big trouble with that bet now if we don't go on and sign some players. But I think for me, I think 4th place, I think that's if it's just Van De Beek and nothing else, I think 4th place. I think we still have enough with our current team to finish 4th place. But if we get Sancho, we can definitely maybe 3rd. Maybe 3rd. Do you know what I mean?
Devils United, is that a finger?
That's Mary. It's Mary.
Name.
So Mary says, "Fuck Declan Rice."
Mary, have you changed your name? Yeah.
They changed the channel. Yeah, they changed her.
Changed the channel name.
Yeah.
She Devils United.
Just to avoid confusion with the other ladies' channel.
I seen that on Twitter. There's a bit of confusion there. But look,
Is Mary
either way,
Irish?
like
Oh yeah.
Mary's from Cork.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mary's Irish.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, but
That-
she's got a stronger accent than you three put together.
Yeah.
That explains that comment. So
I was born and raised in London. That maybe skews my accent a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Owen's just clinging on. What's the name?
I'm what everyone likes to call a plastic. So yeah, let it be what it is.
He's an Irish United fan that lives in London.
Live in Manchester, actually. Get it right, Ads. You know I'm
You only here for uni. Shut up.
Normally I get the plastic tag, so it's nice.
Yeah, that's all right, man.
No, everyone.
stop.
I don't even bring that conversation up. Everyone supports who they want to support. It is.
Yeah,
It is
except
that, but-
these Arsenal fans, you know, I'm just going to just throw it out there. We have a couple of Arsenal fans in our podcast, and Arsenal finished, contrary to popular belief, people say they finished 8th, but I think they finished 14th last season. They didn't do anything noteworthy last season in terms of domestically, you know, and that's something I'd like to throw out there. You know, Arsenal finished 14th last year, not 8th.
they've done nothing noteworthy domestically since 2004,
Yeah.
3.
Anyway, Tim's got to go. His missus is calling him. He's got his
Yeah,
tea
gotta run.
and tea's in the oven.
Yeah. So
Gotta be with the kids.
we'll wrap it up there tonight, lads. Thanks very much for coming on. It's been a great chat, lads. And Alexis Sanchez got all the abuse that he deserves. So, you know, I'm happy I got that out of my system today. Lads, hope you have a great evening. We'll be back next week again with more content, and just we're enjoying it so far. And have a good night, lads. Nice one.
Thanks for having us on, mate.
Cheers for having us on.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers, lads. Bye now.
Bye.
How was this ended?